Good morning. It's time for another morning Bible study. I'm your host, Logan McCulley, and today it's Proverbs 25. But first, we have had our first baby appointment. And with that baby appointment, we got to see the ultrasound. And with that ultrasound, they let me record a video of the, I don't know, what do you call that? The heartbeat? The baby? The lentil? I don't know. So I'm going to play it for you.
All right, you tell me when you're ready.
Go for it. That's wild. Thank you. How crazy is that? How crazy is that little lentil? How crazy is it that it was 0.9 centimeters in length, not even in width. It was 0.9 centimeters. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Just look on a ruler and look at that. And that was yesterday. That baby's got a heartbeat. Sure does. Sure does. So, and that being said, pray for me and Jennifer for a healthy pregnancy, for a healthy baby, for good growth. I mean, what we saw is the baby's in the right spot, so it could have been an ectopic pregnancy. It's not, and there's only one. So, no twins. Baby's in the right spot. That's all we know. And we had to hear heartbeat. I'm cool with that. But I just want to let y'all know that happened. Pray for us. Keep in your prayers. Give us strength. Solidarity. I still will be in school for about 9 months after he's born. I don't know. But I'm going to say he. But that's it. Let me go ahead and let's get into verse 1 of Proverbs 25. These also are Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. Now the breakdown, this is interesting. Hezekiah copied. This collection of 137 Proverbs, which is what we're about to get into, not all 137, but a portion of them, was spoken by Solomon, and most likely copied into a collection during the reign of Judah's king Hezekiah, over 200 years later. This is consistent with Hezekiah's efforts to bring revival to Judah, as he elevated the forgotten wisdom of David and Solomon. So these were the spoken, not written down Proverbs that he then collected and put into a book of Solomon. Verse 2. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. What's the breakdown? Let's read 3 next. As the heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of kings is unsearchable. Let's do the breakdown. Let's breaking down God and kings. The role of God and the king are compared. God, whose knowledge is above all human knowledge, and whose ways are unsearchable, keeps things to himself because he needs no counsel. On the contrary, kings should rightly seek to know what they must know in order to rule righteously. So obviously God knows everything and his wisdom is above all. But then the king should rightly seek to know what they must know. Seek what they must know. Seek to know what they must know in order to rule righteously. So let's read the king breakdown. It's the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. So, okay, I see. So they're searching God. The glory of the king is in the searching of God, finding what they should do. And then you go into 3 and it says, as heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of a king is unsearchable. Interesting. Verse 4. Take away the dross from silver, and it will go to the silversmith for jewelry. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. Breakdown. A nation is established as wisdom replaces and purifies wickedness. Okay, I need to know what dross is.
Dross.
Something regarded as worthless rubbish. There are bargains if you have patience to sift through the dross. So, take away the dross from silver, and it will go to the silversmiths for. Okay, so take out the useless crap from the silver, and it will go to the silversmith for jewelry. Take away the wicked before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. The dross and the wicked. Take out weed your garden. Get rid of the stuff that's not necessary, that's just mucking it up. I think there's a key takeaway in that. And I think we're going to be talking about taking away those bad influences out of your life. What's holding you back? What are the things that are a poor influence? We have to be a good influence in the world, but also we don't want to be influenced by the world as well. It's a hard balance to strike. Because you got to be in the world to influence it. But you can't be of the world. You must be of God. That's a hard line to tote. Very hard. Verse 6 and 7. Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of the great. For it is better that he say to you, come up here, than that you should be put lower in the presence of the prince, whom your eyes have seen. This is perfect. This is the first step of the lowly place from Jesus, right? Like, Jesus said, take the lowly place because it's better to be asked to move into a higher place than to be asked to sit down in the lower place. What's the breakdown here, though? In the royal court, as in all of life, so in the royal court, just like life, self-seeking and pride bring one down. Do not intrude into such a place, for the elevating of the humble is honorable, but the humbling of the proud is disgraceful. Always take the lowly place. Like, I've said this before, I make it a point that, like, let's say on this last, scout trip, all the adults went and got coffee one morning while the kids were in classes. And they were like, hey, what's the word? They're like, hey, do you want to go sit or who's going to sit in the back? It was like 6 adults. We took them in the van. I was like, you know what? Logan will. I will. Don't worry about it. I'll take that back place, that back seat. No one has to crawl back there. And that's cool. That's what I did. How worse would it have been to be like, I'm not getting back there. You can get back there. It's not what we're supposed to do. And that's such a simple example, but I feel like it's a real life example. I feel like sometimes as Christians, we're bad about not actually addressing the real life scenarios and situations you can put into practice in what the Bible says. Even though it sounds silly, even though it's like, well, don't take it too literal. I'm like, but the Bible is literally the Word of God. So how literal should you take the Word of God? Like, pretty literal, I would think. But, Jennifer always says I have a touch of the tism, so that might be my touch showing. That's what I'm saying. All right, verse 8 through 10. Do not go hastily to court, for what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame and your reputation be ruined. Okay, let's do the breakdown. And the breakdown's on the phrase, go hastily to court. When conflict arises, the man with a contentious spirit is quick to go to court. But when he is better off to talk it over with his neighbor than to expose himself to public shame in court where everything will be told. So what's it calling out? It says, do not go hastily to court, for what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Because if you're hastily going to court, you might actually be the one at fault, right? I think that's the point of this. Check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Don't look at a speck in your brother's eye when there's a plank in your eye. I believe that's what we're getting at here. Then it goes on and says, debate your case with your neighbor and do not disclose the secret to one another. Again, handle your contentions in private. What is it? You scold in private and praise in public. Handle your issues in private. Praise in public. Praise in public is not in the Bible. I'm just relating it to other, you would call it natural wisdom, but I don't think it's natural wisdom. I think it's God-given wisdom that has perforated throughout our society, and we don't know where it first started with, okay? Because who said a country divided cannot stand? That's Abraham Lincoln quoting Jesus, quoting the Bible. It's quoting Jesus, but still, how much of the Bible's wisdom has soaked into our culture that we've just thought, oh, that's just, that's a good saying. I feel like this is one of those. Then it goes in 10. Lest he who hears it expose your shame and your reputation be ruined. I've really tried to make it a point lately to just be quiet. Be quiet and listen. Don't say stuff. Because I'm in this nurse practitioner program and I'm dumb. Like, I don't have the provider brain built up. I was a good paramedic. I was a good nurse. There's many nurses better than me. I'm not going to lie about that. But I'm good as a nurse. I'm not a good provider. And it's so apparent when I go talk with someone who, or shadow someone's been doing it for 15, 20 years, man, and like their brain is just popping. It's firing on 8 cylinders, like full force, 0 to 100. I got a whole list of stuff. I just got to sit down and look up. Like, I just haven't done it. It's on my to-do list. It was like this sounds stupid, but look at your joints in your hand, okay? I'm a ER nurse. I'm a paramedic. I'm a dialysis nurse now. But like, if you've got a light or a superficial laceration on this knuckle, okay? Which digit is that? We should know what digit that is as nurses. 1, 2, 3. Third digit on the right hand. Which side of the hand is that on? Okay? I was thinking anterior posterior. She wanted me to say the dorsal side, okay? The dorsal side being the top side. Do I agree with that? I don't know. Dorsal side, okay, so then dorsal side, right hand, third digit. What is this knuckle called? I said the second knuckle, counting out. 1, 2, 3. Second knuckle. She goes, no, that's not what the knuckle's called. I go, okay, well then I don't know what the knuckle's called. It was like the DIP joint or the PIP joint. I don't even know. I got it written on my list. It's just, I've had a eye-opening experience of all the little things I don't know. Like rat bite fever. What do you do? What do you do for a rat bite? What is the current standard treatment? What do you do for mumps? Mumps. I saw mumps the other night. Like, just, there's so many little things that I don't know. I'm just making a point to be quiet and listen and try not to let you know how dumb I am. I think the word's getting out though. Sadly. But that's okay. I've got God. All right, let's move into verse 11. We'll do 11 and 12. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in the setting of silver. Like an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. So the imagery of beauty describes well-chosen words, including words of rebuke. Now, this is something that I'm trying to get good at. Like, how do you educate? How do you call out people in a way that they hear the meaning you're trying to get? Because, like, it's easy to say that's wrong. Okay, it's easy to say murder's wrong, homosexuality is a sin. But how do you approach that in a way that people can understand it? How do you get that message across without sounding like, with them not feeling like they're under attack? Because you want to call out the sin, not the sinner. Like, but then also, how do you do it in a way that's effective communication, effective rebuke, and that they can learn and not clam up? That's hard. That's really hard. It's like when I was like, I started doing this teaching medallion program. It's like getting a minor in teaching, and it ended up being too much. But there was a lot of words I never heard, like microaggression. I still don't really understand that. It sounds silly to me. It sounds very silly to me, and it probably is silly. But there's people that really think it's real. It's like when a crazy person. This is where I get a little confused, because I've always treated them like a crazy person, and I'm not going to talk crazy to crazy. I'm not going to do it. If someone says, hey, I see ghosts and the ghost is talking to me, I'm like, well, I don't see the ghost. I do say, hey, what's the ghost telling you to do? Does it want you to hurt you or hurt me or hurt anyone else? No? Okay, well, the ghost isn't really there. So let's reorient yourself back to reality. But I got to be able to have that conversation with these people who aren't dumb, but have very... or are getting caught up in the world, just like don't know the Bible. I don't know. I don't understand it, and it's something that's on my to-do list to be a wise rebuker, so that I can have that understanding. I have to have that obedient ear, but also to learn how to be a wise rebuker. And that fitly word, to have a fitly word that I can know and speak. And that's why I try to learn the verses that I've got sitting around the desk, that I can have that ready to go. Verse 13, like the cold of snow in time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him, for he refreshes the soul of his master. So what are we saying? He refreshes the soul of his masters by a faithful message in the correct timing, like the coldest snow in the time of harvest. It's not just about having the message and being you have to be faithful. So you have to have the message. You have to be faithful. And then you also have to be timed right, because you can't just come in willy-nilly. So you have to be timed right, the right time, the right person with the right message, and you have to be faithful with that. And then you are the refreshing of a soul to your master. Verse 14. Whoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds and wind without rain. Full of nothing. Clouds and wind without rain. What do farmers need? All these people were farmers, roughly. Not everyone was a farmer. Some were soldiers, some were carpenters. But I'm sure a large portion of the population was farmers. What do farmers need? Rain. So, what do you think when you think of clouds coming in? Oh, rain, rain, And I mean, obviously you can tell the difference between a storm cloud and a not storm cloud. But what does a cloud bring that's useless? You're a useless cloud. That's what you are. Man, what a good dig. Like, you are a useless cloud. You're a cloud without any rain. There's a dig in there, but it needs to be better than you're a cloud without rain. You're a useless cloud. You're a waste of space. I'm getting a little crazy there. Let me back that up. Got a little down the rabbit hole, but the person that falsely boasts of giving, so like they didn't give to anybody, is that useless cloud. Verse 15. By long forbearance a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Forbearance is patience is a mighty weapon. Oh, just being patient can break a bone. A gentle tongue can break a bone. A long forbearance is by long forbearance a ruler is persuaded. Just being patient, you can get what you're trying to get accomplished, and a gentle tongue can break a bone. Watch what you say. That's all I can say. I'll talk bad about myself. This one time, me and Jennifer got in a fight, and she is very bad about, I believe, caring too much what other people think. You can't care what other people think up to a certain point. Like, I grew up where it's like I've had to learn to care what people think. Okay, so like I'm way too far the other way. Well, we got in a fight about something, and she was like, I don't want this or something because people will think this or know this or see this, and I'm like, I was like, they don't care about you. These people won't take care of you when you're sick. Nobody cares about you. I got really mad. And I said those words just like that. I went, I care about you. Levi cares about you. Your mom and dad care about you. And then she was really mad. And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. But like, the people that she was worried about were like coworkers. And I'm like, they ain't never been to our house, dude. Are you a friend if you've never been to our house? I don't think so. That's kind of my line. Verse 16. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. Breakdown. This may be a parable that goes with verse 17, instructing the wise not to overdo anything that may lead to disgust and rejection, including overstaying or being overbearing with a friend who may begin to resent him. So that's 17. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. So it's saying, don't be overbearing. Don't overdo anything. I am bad about overeating. I got a belly that I'm trying to work on right now. Like, I do it. I like to eat, man. Don't eat too much, lest you be filled with it and vomit and spit you out. Verse 18. A man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a club, a sword, and a sharp arrow. The man is? This is the breakdown. He is destructive to reputation as those weapons are to the body. Man, that's the truth. Think about, like, I guess there's in the nursing community, people who, if anyone, has been caught like diverting narcotics. There are rehabilitation programs. And should those people be rehabilitated? Yeah, people deserve a second chance. But think about how bad their reputation is. Like, literally, I was talking to someone the other night because I haven't been back to the hospital I used to work at until these clinicals. And, like, people that got caught doing stuff like that, they know that. Like, this has been like 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. It's still talked about. It's still known. It's like, ooh, there's a reason why these rules exist, and she was the cause of these rules. She's the reason you have to do the double signature on those narcotics. Being friends and near that is just as dangerous. Or I guess, I don't know. It's like a club and a sword and a sharp arrow. Verse 19. Confidence in an unfaithful man in a time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint. Ain't nothing worse than a bad tooth. I don't know about a foot out of joint. I've never had one. But think about that. Confidence in an unfaithful man. A man that's, I think of, unfaithful in God. One that doesn't know God. One that has no rules. My pastor always talks about if you take away God, you take away the floor and the ceiling. And then you don't have anything to base anything off of. Anything goes you start talking about euthanasia in people, in humans. Like, have you ever had to put a dog down? Can you imagine doing that to a human? Like, if you take away God, everything else is gone. So you have this unfaithful person, and you're going to put your confidence in that person in a time of trouble? It ain't going to be good. It ain't going to be good. Verse 20. Like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, and like vinegar on soda, it is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. What kind of soda are they talking about? Vinegar on soda. Pouring vinegar on an alkali, baking soda, bicarbonate, produces a reaction like boiling or turning tranquility into agitation. So is the effect of singing joyful songs without sympathy to the sorrowful. Okay, let's read that again. Like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, and like vinegar on soda. So, agitation. Not taking into consideration the people that you're dealing with. That is like one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Man, that really, I am sometimes bad about that. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, perk up. Come on, hey, you ain't dead. Maybe I should calm that down. I don't do that like now as a provider or as a healthcare professional, but maybe in my private life, calm it down. Yeah. Verse 21 and 22. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. Okay. The breakdown. As metals are melted by placing fiery coals on them, so is the heart of the enemy softened by such kindness. Contrast the coals of judgment out of Psalms. Paul quotes this proverb in Romans later in the Bible. Interesting. Instead of making him hungrier and not giving him food and water, give him the food and water. You're commanded to do that. If your enemy needs help, help them. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, you'll soften his heart, and the Lord will reward you. Again, there's that theme of your enemies, to not kick them when they're down, to not rejoice when they have issues. In fact, help them when they're hungry and when they're thirsty. I saw one of the supervisors that I really dislike the other night when I was shadowing at the hospital. She's not a supervisor anymore. She's another role. And I felt all the feelings come back, and I was like, man, I got growing to do. I didn't really talk to her. I don't know if you have to talk to people that you feel like that about. I don't know if you do. But I felt the bad feelings. And we're all about heart problems, so something to work on. Verse 23. The north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue an angry countenance. Okay. The theme is cause and effect. As surely as rain clouds bring the rain, slander produces anger. Oh, okay. Let's think about that. So slander will produce anger. So what is slander? False testimony and gossip is what it is. Like you're dirtying someone's name in gossip. Because false testimony is false testimony. So the north wind brings forth rain. So surely as rain will be brung from the north wind, a backbiting tongue brings an angry countenance. Okay, those are just large words to say what we already said. Which is, slander produces anger. As surely as the north wind brings rain. Verse 24. It is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than on a house shared with a contentious woman. We've heard this one before. Corner of a housetop. These housetops all had like a little corner spot. So like maybe they had like a little rooftop spot for you to sit. Maybe there wasn't even enough space to lay down. Uncomfortable. Not a place you want to stay. You're in the elements. You're element adjacent. It's better to live there than in a house of a contentious woman. We've talked about this. A contentious woman will ruin your life. It is by the grace of God if you have a good woman, and you need to cherish her and treat her like Christ loved the church. So keep that in mind when you're dating or when you're married. Like that contention will kill you slowly, and that's the worst kind. The worst way to go. Verse 25. As cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a far country. Oh, this is relating to what we talked about earlier in the passage. Talking about a proper time, a proper or a faithful messenger bringing the right message at the right time. As cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a far country. It's refreshing. At the right time, at the right place. It's refreshing. Verse 26. A righteous man who falters before the wicked is like a murky spring in a polluted well. A righteous man who falters. Oh, okay, so it's not just a righteous man. The righteous man faltered before the wicked, and now he is like a murky spring in a polluted well. It's a little different, but not much. That's what I'm getting. Let's see what the breakdown is. The righteous one who sins muddies the water for the wicked who see him and for whom he should serve as an example of righteousness. They see that. They see the murkiness. Muddies the water. Oof. Don't want to be that guy. Verse 27. It is not good to eat much honey, so to seek one's glory is not glory. Breakdown. Eating honey is analogous to enjoying the sweetness of your own self-glory. Eating the honey. Do not, so what's the takeaway? Do not seek your own glory, because that's not glory. Seek God's glory. Give it all to God. That's how you find glory. But that's also how you prepare your, or not prepare your place in heaven. A place is prepared for you in heaven. But how you store up your treasure in heaven. I don't know what the right term is there. Verse 28. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. The breakdown. Such are exposed and vulnerable to the incursions of evil thoughts and successful temptations. For the opposite, see notes on 1632. So whoever has no rule over his own spirit has no way to put up a defense against those evil thoughts and temptations. Therefore, they will be successful temptations. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit. Let's see the actual opposite to that out of 1632. I tell you, I've been in Proverbs so long, like all the pages are just a little well worn, is a good way to put it. So 1632, he who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city, is the verse. There's no breakdown for that. But if you rule your spirit, you're mightier than he who takes a city. Rule your spirit. Rule your spirit. I think that's our theme. Rule your spirit. That's going to be our takeaway. Rule your spirit. Don't give in to temptations. Don't have the evil thoughts. Rule your spirit with Jesus, with God. Get to know him better. That is Proverbs 25. Thank you for joining me here. Thank you for keeping me accountable. Thank you for praying for me and my family. I don't know if I prayed on camera before this, or if we did it. But let me just bless this real quick. I did pray before we started. I just don't know if we did it for everybody. Lord, bless the word that we received. Be with everyone that's out there. Be everywhere. Touch each person's life that's listening to this. Touch them. Bless them. Let them know you're there. Help them in their endeavors. Help them stay close to you. Make you their goal, their priority. And if they don't know you, give them that push. Lord, in your name I pray. Amen. All right, that's it. I'm out. I'll see you next time. We're going to do Proverbs, guess what? 26 next time. Have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed it. Later.